So nearing the end of March, there is a lot of VR news to cover. With this first part of news, Meta is slashing the price of Quest 2. Now at $200 down from $250, Quest 2 is continuing to be the best value headset currently, at least in the US. In turn, it builds more anticipation to the eventual launch of Quest 3 Lite. These are the leaks and renders for what could end up being Quest Lite. Take it all with speculation, as I'm not entirely sold on the Reddit user who leaked all of this, as he left his photos in the screenshots as well, though it very much looks like one of the Meta user research sessions, as I took part in one via an online video call with my face cam on, and they use renders to showcase and get feedback from participants. It's also worth noting that in none of the screenshots, an actual person in the renders is actually wearing the Quest 3S shown in the pictures. Instead, in one of the photos, it shows a Quest 2 instead of a Quest 3S on a Supernatural ad. The biggest red flag to me that this isn't the real design of the upcoming Quest Lite is that I think having a similar design language with the more expensive Quest 3 that places itself as a mid-tier headset would make the most sense to market them together and kind of make them look similar to one another. Also, with the name being Meta Quest 3S, that's kind of unexpected. It isn't immediately obvious that it's the more affordable version and is kind of confusing. Putting Lite in the name makes it more obvious and clear to the consumer what they are buying into. And in the renders, it has the iPhone Pro Max design language on the front cameras. Combined from the renders, it looks like it would feature the same amount of cameras as on Quest 3 and Quest 2 or more. One thing I will say is that the design layout is probably close to what the final product should be. From the rumors, it's known Quest 3S Lite will take some shortcuts compared to Quest 3 in order to meet the lower price tag of $200, $300. Instead of pancake lenses, it reportedly opted out for good old Fresnel lenses. So naturally, the headset will be more bulkier. Features like a depth sensor are said to be cut, and speculation to the headset having optional controllers are running around as well. This more affordable option of Quest Lite I expect to outsell Quest 3 based solely on price. Having the same XR2 Gen 2 chipset from Quest 3 will unify the current line of Meta headsets, whether affordable, mid-tier, or high-end. It should help devs narrow down optimization, but Quest 2 should continue to get support as it's the most sold headset to date. I don't expect developers to overlook the largest VR market user base currently. And next off, directly from Meta, is that with the launch of Quest 3, it marks a significant step for better and higher user retention than prior headsets like Rift, Rift S, Quest, and Quest 2. This is a significant leap for Meta, since before Quest 3, they did sell around 20 million headsets with the Oculus Meta Quest line, though the biggest asterisk after people bought the headsets, whether they loved it or hated it, similar to the Wii U, it just picked up dust around the house. People weren't returning for more after the initial use. From Upload VR at GDC 2024, from Chris Pruett, Meta's director of content ecosystem, he runs third-party publishing and designs content. He advised developers that Quest 3 owners return to continuously use apps at a higher rate. With the retention rate improving continuously through each generation, you can attribute it to a variety of combinations. It comes down to your own experience, whether that's the pancake lenses, better chipset, improved comfort, ergonomic controllers, improved haptics, better audio, color pass-through, mixed reality use, and apps, etc. Another reason for Quest 3 having higher retention is due to the price point, as a device priced at $500 to $650 compared to Quest 2 is much more an investment. Quest 2's affordability allowed it to get in the hands of so many people, and especially during the holidays, it was a perfect gift. Meta pushed a lot of sales and bundles along with the headset. Products placed around $299 make it a mid-tier purchase of spending a good amount of money to get something worthwhile but not breaking the bank, and Quest 2's price point allowed it to be around other home consoles like an Xbox Series S and the Nintendo Switch that are affordable to consumers. At that time, you also had consumers unable to buy Xbox Series X or PS5s due to shortages and demand. Especially considering during 2020, where people were stuck in their houses, Meta at that time pushed fitness hard in its marketing. On a similar note, another reason why Quest 2's retention was bad even for a gaming device compared to Quest 3's more lifestyle approach is that the stock G-string, jockstrap, thong, whatever you want to call it, was horrible. I have vivid memories that once you crossed the 20 to 30 minute threshold, the headaches were unbearable and you had to take off the headset. Quest 3's stock strap is still not amazing, but it's an improvement and actually much more usable, especially if you use the headset laying down. I didn't get as many headaches on it compared to Quest 2, only if you misalign it you would get slight strains. It got the job done. Meta could certainly improve the retention moving forward as the tech gets even more jam-packed and they accompany it with an actual real strap like like the Elite strap, it would make sense for people to use it for longer periods of time and people wanting to return, increasing retention. Then we have Meta continuing to push and fund VR content with the introduction of Oculus Publishing Ignition. If you've been paying attention to gaming news, the game development industry has been getting hit hard. The program is to help alleviate some of those challenges for developers making XR content. The Oculus Publishing Ignition program is focused on bringing more mixed reality and VR content. Meta looks to build out its library of active sport games, accessible social titles, and simulation games. With this, they are looking to at least fund up 20 Ignition teams before the end of the year. Another aspect of this is that they mentioned focusing on game concepts that target a more mainstream audience rather than a niche audience. This program is also more focused on recently established and incorporated teams, April 2023 or newer, rather than existing teams, with a focus on originality and established game makers. Stuff like this is great to see, and a pattern you begin to recognize that a lot of these newer titles have some sort of Oculus, Meta, and even Sony funding in one way or another. It's great to see that Meta is still pushing the needle forward for XR content in the space. We are still very much in the early days of the XR space, and in 10 years time, the scene could look entirely different. Switching over headsets, PSVR2 gets good news and bad news. The good news is that it's getting official PC support, but at first it was to be used to stream games off your PS5 to your PC. Why even bother? However, now there seems to be a change of plans directly allowing people to use PSVR2 on their PC to play PCVR games directly, upping the value of the headset. Now I'm a little bit more interested in buying a PSVR2 headset, as it looks like it isn't limited exclusively to one platform, that being PS5. As much as I love gaming, there's other uses for these headsets. As of right now, you can't currently play any titles on the headset though. From about a month ago, we got an official confirmation from Sony that they are testing out PSVR2 support for PC. As in a Sony blog post, they said that they want to allow PSVR2 users to access additional games on PC and bring this in 2024, but streaming them from their PS5. Then the bad news from Bloomberg is that Sony is putting PSVR2 production on pause as unsold inventory piles up. The source is told by the same person that said that PSVR2 sales were low. Then Sony came out with official numbers saying that it initially sold over 600k units. Take it with a grain of salt, but this type of insider information broadly forms the bigger picture. PSVR2 had a strong launch, but it continues to struggle with buyers as the headset is more expensive than the console itself, and VR is still very niche. If you look at any Sony showcases and state of plays, look at the chat or reactions. As soon as the VR content rolls out, everyone just daydreams until the usual pancake games roll back on. Gamers aren't exactly the athletic type, and I think a bigger boundary is making people want to try the headsets, and even if they do try VR, VR isn't for everyone. I expected a much bigger push on content for Sony as they own IPs like Spider-Man, The Last of Us, etc. Also, if you put one and one together, you see that over time, and especially Sony is beginning to open up their platform more and more, prioritizing and increasing sales with them bringing games to Steam. Then again, don't expect it to overtake any Quest headsets, as the hardware of PSVR2 is dope, but another similarly priced headset is not only $50 cheaper, but everything natively runs on Quest 3. The value is entirely different, and where one company sells an accessory compatible with the console, the other company shifted and changed its entire business and continues to spend billions of dollars to be able to compete. But it offers an option to those who want to stay away from Meta or want the best wired PCVR experience with OLED at a decent price point. And yeah, that's pretty much all the news that I wanted to go over. Mainly hardware news, few topics. There are a few games and updates as well that I want to get into, but you should get videos primarily focused on like Dried Fates, Max, Ketchup Mustard. If you like the video, drop a like and subscribe for more content regarding game reviews, comparisons, and VR news. And until the next video, see ya.